Welcome to the Path to Purpose interview show, where we share our unique and universal stories about finding and fulfilling our purpose. My name is Katja, and I'm your host and mentor for purpose-driven entrepreneurs. My intention for this show is to inspire you on your path to purpose. Today, I have a pleasure to interview Krista Hinds, who is a certified health and life coach, #1 best-selling author, and creator of the Steps and Ladders Matter, a play on the snakes and ladders game. Krista is committed to helping women entrepreneurs find the energy and inspiration to cut cravings and move towards high-level wellness, one step at a time. Let's find out more about her path, and I will also ask her best tips how to conquer our cravings. So let's get started here. Welcome, Krista. I'm so excited to have you here.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
And could you please tell us a little bit more about you? I introduced you very briefly, and also share where you are located so we can put you on the map.
Okay, yeah. So I'm located in Ontario, Canada. And a little bit about me is I am a mom of 3 grown children. They are, out of the house doing their own thing now. And so now I am as well, which is great. I am, as Katjana said, I'm a certified health and life coach, but I'm also certified in the transformational coaching method, which means that when you work with me, the habits that you change for good. And I love to play soccer. I love to be outdoors. I love to work with people to help them find their path to purpose as well.
That's wonderful. And I love that you are doing your own thing too. That was like, yes, go for it. And was there a special event that led you to this path?
Actually, yeah, it was kind of by accident. I thought that I was a pretty healthy person. And what happened is one of my coworkers was talking about doing this detox, and I thought, oh yeah, okay, I'll do that too, no problem. I should be able to do it without any issues. And so she mentioned, you could go to this health food store and get this little package and do this detox for a week. And I thought, cool. So I went and got all the stuff I needed, and I ended up doing the detox for a week and found it so difficult to do. And I considered myself to be quite a healthy eater at the time. But little did I know how much sugar I was actually eating and all of the other things. And the other thing that I found really interesting is when I was done the detox, I felt more ravenous than I did going into the detox.
Mm.
While I felt really good energetically, I also had this pull to go back to eating the way I was eating before. And I found that to be so interesting because I thought that it would just be this natural progression from, I'm eating healthy to now I'm eating even more healthy. Now I'll go back to eating even more healthy, continuing on. That wasn't the case. It actually took me backwards. And I ended up wanting to binge on things that I hadn't wanted for years. And all of that to say, I got really interested in how the brain works because of that. And I got really interested on what causes us to have these, cravings, even though we know that that's not what we're supposed to be eating or, what we've been told is healthy. So that sort of led me into wanting to help other people to find their ways of how to stay healthy for themselves and get healthy and stay healthy for themselves.
Yeah, and that's super interesting when you were sharing that about the cravings, like you made the change and then the cravings came back. That kind of reminded me of one of the spiritual laws, that is a law of reversibility. that is kind of coming to test you when we do a change, whatever change that is, whether it is changing your diet or other changes, like it just comes there and wants to pull you back to how things were. So that was super fascinating because like now it just clicked when you were talking. I was like, aha, there it is.
Yeah, and now it's clicking for me as you're talking about it. That's super cool. I like that.
So what was your biggest, like, this is because you help people in this, and like, thank you for sharing your own story, because that's always very helpful for people to hear that you have been there too. But was sugar your biggest craving, or what was it for you?
Yes. So I didn't think it was, to be perfectly honest, because I didn't eat desserts. I didn't grow up eating a lot of desserts or sweets. And so into my adulthood, I assumed that was, eating desserts was, yeah, I was healthy because I didn't eat desserts.
Mm.
All the while, I was putting 2 to 3 teaspoons of sugar in my coffee and in my tea all day long. So even though I was eating, relatively healthy meals throughout the day, I was also supplementing those meals with a ton of sugar that, of course, I just put in the background thinking that it wasn't important because of all the healthy food I was eating.
Mm.
So to answer your question, yes, it was sugar.
Yeah. Oh, that's fascinating. Like, aren't we clever and creative in a way? So
Yes. I like the way you put that. I was clever and creative.
but that's how it is. Like
Yeah.
sometimes because we have certain label, and then hey, I'm not doing this. Like, and I have the same thing. Like I remember when I stopped putting sugar to my coffee, I stopped early age, but it was tough because it tasted bad.
Yes.
Not sugar. It took
It's bitter.
Yeah, it took me a couple of weeks to get used to the used to the
Yes.
taste. But that was so funny, like when you said like, oh, then you put sugar somewhere else. And that's
Mhm.
just, I'm sharing this so if you're listening to us, you can like, what are you doing? How are you creative? And this can be also something we can share with each others, because then when we have the courage to share, I'm always like a big believer of sharing, because what happens then, others can be like, oh wow, I didn't even realize that I actually do that too. And that's why I really acknowledge you for sharing this, because it's so eye-opening for many. Maybe they are now like, oopsie, maybe I'm doing that too. Oh no, I'm not taking a dessert, but let's bring me the sugar for my other adding it somewhere else, whatever that is for you,
Mhm.
or whatever. Maybe it's the next question I want to ask you, because for some it's sugar, some it's other cravings, because there are many cravings that can be have. But in your opinion, why so many people struggle with cravings?
Well, there's a few reasons we turn to food to satisfy our needs. And it's about looking at the other areas of your life that you might be lacking. So, one of the biggest things to look at if you find yourself turning towards something like food to satisfy a craving is what is going on for you in the rest of your life. So, stress will produce a reason to go for something that makes you feel better. If you're if you're lacking in one area of like, I'll just give you an example. If you're having issues in your social life, if you feel like you're an extroverted person and you're not getting enough social connection right now, you might turn to food to satisfy the social connection that you're missing. So there's usually a depletion in one area of your life. Like if your career isn't going well for you right now, you might turn to food to feel better about what's not going well. So you can do that for the different areas of your life. And The other thing that can happen is if we're feeling badly about ourselves. So if we've eaten something already that we deem, or somebody in our lives has deemed to be bad for us, when we start to feel badly, we want to turn to sugar, for example, because that will produce endorphins in your body to get you to feel better, and you will excrete a hormone that will make you feel like you're in a high state. You've been brought to a higher state, and energetically you also have more energy when you take sugar as well. So you get this roller coaster effect. You get brought to the top of the roller coaster when you eat sugar, and then you'll crash again. So what happens when you're doing that crashing after you have the sugar, you get brought down to the bottom again. So that's your low, and that's when you feel bad. So energetically you feel low, and your mood feels low because you don't feel good about yourself. And then you turn to the sugar again to have that feeling because you want to feel better. So you go back and you have more sugar. So that's where you get this craving cycle that ends up happening throughout the day, even though you think to yourself, okay, that's it, no more, I'm not going to have any more, because you're already at the high. So you know at that point that you're okay. It's when you start to crash that you want to get back in the kitchen and have more.
And you mentioned sugar. Is there other things we can crave, like, or is it just depending of the person? We can have different things. For maybe someone is salty things, or someone it might be something else like bread, for example.
Definitely. So you can crave salty things. You can crave, like as you said, carbs is a big word out there. To avoid carbs, we actually need carbs. Carbs are a building block of the food and nutrients that we need to help us to curb our cravings. So if you're trying to avoid carbs, that might be something that's causing a craving for you, because you're not getting the nutrients that you need to fulfill all of the building blocks to make it so that you feel sustained and full. So I would advise that if you are avoiding carbs, that's fine, as long as you're avoiding the simple carbs, because complex carbohydrates are one of the building blocks that we need to stay satiated.
Yeah, that's very insightful. Also to check what is it for you, maybe, like, because we can have other things. Like somebody might be listening this and like, oh, I'm good with sugar, I'm not using it, and maybe that's true for them. But then there might be other thing that. But then, like summertime for me, it's ice cream. I love ice cream. Now it's too cold, but summertime I love ice cream. So, for example, that might be my thing. So whatever that is for you, so checking it out, because that way you can also bring the light into that, and that is the first step, I believe, in the any change.
Exactly.
And now I want to ask also from you, like, if somebody now, like they are listening and they are like, oh, okay, I get that there is something, I do have a craving, I get that. And they have now like inspiration to find the energy to cut those cravings. Like the spark, like there is hope, it's doable. Krista did it, you can do it too. So how can they then start moving towards a higher level of wellness? Like what could be the first step on their journey to make it happen?
The first step would be I always offer to add in something as opposed to restricting yourself. When we start to use restrictive behaviors, it produces sort of that toddler, I'll do what I want uh, feeling in the body. And that's a perfectly natural feeling to have, which is why my suggestion is to add in something. And what happens when you do that is it makes you feel better about yourself because you're doing something good. And it also allows your brain to slowly get customized to this new way of being, because the brain will automatically, as my story I told earlier, it automatically wants to revert back to the way you've been doing things in the past. It's just that's where it feels comfortable. And so if you do something too quickly, it'll just shut down and say, nope, no, that's too fast. That's too much. I'm just going to go back to what I was doing before. So if you just slowly add something in, and my kids laugh at me because I'm always like, dark leafy greens, but they're packed full of nutrients and vitamins. So if you can add in dark leafy greens, for example, into 1 or 2 of your meals during the day, that's a huge improvement. And what that does is that helps to squeeze out the cravings that you're having, because you're actually getting the nutrients that your body needs to feel better.
I love that, like microscopic action steps. That's what I've been talking with people, like, because that really truly helps to create sustainable change. And the one factor here is, instead of like what we are so much used to, like take away these things, and you actually say add something. So it's like, what? So that's really good. Like, it's a very different approach, and that might help people to now to actually start getting those results, as their mind might be like, oh, I'm actually adding in instead of taking away. So that might do the trick.
Mm-hmm.
And
And as I was saying earlier, with the social and the career and that kind of thing too, if you were triggered at that point to think, yeah, like socially I'm not getting enough, then that's the stuff you can add in as well. Sometimes it's not just about the food. It could be that you just need to add in a phone call every day to your friend.
yeah, I love that. Another addition. So now,
Mm-hmm.
if people are like, oh, I like the sound of this, this work sounds amazing, and it truly is, I highly recommend, Krista. And so, how can people find out more about you and your work?
Yeah, so I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram. My company name is called Hindsight Transformational Coaching. And so I have a website, and I believe we're going to be dropping some of those links in the comments below. So yeah, feel free to contact me and ask me whatever questions you need to ask.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. You are truly sharing amazing work here. And just starting to wrap up our interview here, so do you have a special message that you would like to share?
Yes, I would love to share with your viewers that celebration is another really good tool to use when you're trying to change any behavior, whatever that looks like for you. If there's something that you're doing, we typically want to reach and strive for more. And I would invite you to look at that one step that you did and you did so well, and to celebrate that for yourself, because that's what will propel you to do that next step. And when you get there, celebrate that too.
Yes, celebration. And you are watching this. This is going to be the first step in your transformation. So reach out to Krista and get her support, because we are not alone here. There is so much help available, but we do need to ask. And then we shall receive when we ask. So thank you so much, Krista, for being here today and inspiring us. And thank you all the work that you do in the world. And thank you for watching Path to Purpose interview show. Let us know what was your biggest takeaway from this one. And if you want more support for your path, join Lightworkers Who Succeed on Purpose Facebook community. I'm sending you so much light and love. Stay well and stay tuned for the next episode by subscribing to this channel. Bye for now.